Hello, this is going to be a video overviewing our APA abstract. Now, to complete this assignment, you need to look under the module that, of course, is titled APA Abstract and click on letter A, which is going to be the packet that overviews the assignment. When you click on that, you're going to see this handout right here. Now, I just ask you to follow the instructions in completing this assignment to submit it in the correct manner. Now, again, as I mentioned in the video announcement, we've been asked to just basically introduce you to APA documentation by several other departments at the college. So this is just a very short assignment to introduce you to APA documentation. So you can see the difference between APA and MLA documentation. Now, okay, to complete the assignment, you're first going to have to do some research, which I know most of you, when you hear research, you're like, gag, okay, but this should not be that difficult. I tried to make it as easy as possible for you. So first, follow the instructions listed in task 1, and I'm actually going to show you how to do it real quick. So just, you have the handout in front of you, hopefully, and then I'm going to show you how to do so. So as I mentioned, you're going to go to our college website, mgcc.edu, click on My Gulf Coast, okay, you're going to scroll down, look underneath Students, click on Library. Okay, scroll down, and beneath in this section, you're going to select the option Library Resources A to Z. You're going to click it. Okay, you can select either the Academic Search Complete database, or you can select the Academic Search Premier. I'm just going to select the first one. Give it just a moment. Now make sure when you're on the EBSCO or Magnolia project, which this is a collection of databases, if you don't select full text below limit your results, you're not going to get the whole article. Now, as I mentioned, I want this assignment to be not only an assignment where you learn to write an assignment in APA format, but I want you to benefit from it. So you are going to search maybe job interview tips. Now, you can be specific to maybe your field. If you're going into nursing, you may want to search like job interview tips for nurses. If you're going into engineering, you could search something like engineering interview questions. You can search something specific to your actual, major and future profession, but I'm just going to do something very general, which would be maybe like job interview tips. And I'm going to search. Give it just a moment. Okay. I'm just going to scroll down and see what they have. Let's click on this, make a big impression on your job interview. I'm going to click on the title, and again, search through and find the article that seems the most interesting. You're probably going to see the title first, click on it, and then read through it and see if it's the best article for you, because I want this to be job interview tips that you feel would relate and benefit you. Okay, now you sometimes have the article at the bottom of this particular page, but other times you may have to click on an HTML or a PDF version. You'll click on it, and you're going to actually have the article as it looked in the original magazine, journal, or newspaper. Keep in mind that EBSCO, Magnolia, this is a place where scanned articles are placed. They were originally published somewhere else, like again, a magazine, newspaper, or journal, and you're finding it in this database. So you would read through the article, okay? You may want to save it or print it out, whatever is the most beneficial to you, but you need to read this article because later you're going to summarize its content. Now, I would encourage y'all to use the database because y'all are a lucky generation. I did not have this. If you go over to the side here, you have several icons. If you choose this 5th icon and it has cite, when you hover over it, click it. You're going to scroll down. You can, just scroll down or just take the little bar here, and you have APA. If you'll highlight this, this is the publication information, and it is in APA format. You can copy this publication information and then paste it into your reference page. But again, try to find an article that relates to how you could do well in a job interview. So that's your first task. You have to find an article and follow those steps to find the best article for you. Okay, moving on. Now, you're going to notice after you find your article and you read through it, you are going to be tasked to write an abstract, okay? Now, an abstract is a type of summary, okay? Now, as far as for this particular assignment, all I'm asking you to do is to first have a title page, okay? Then you're going to have an abstract page and then a reference page. Now, on the second page of the handout, I overview how you want to structure your title page. And again, this kind of gives you everything that you need for that title page. Also, if you go back to our module page, you're going to notice that underneath the APA abstract, we have a student example under letter B, okay? If you look at that student example, this is a student example. This student did the same assignment that you're doing. Now, several things that you're going to notice. This is very different from MLA documentation. This is APA. It's much different. Now, you'll probably notice for this semester with all of your test essays, I did not require you to have a title or cover page. In MLA, it is not required to have a title or cover page. It's optional. But in APA, it is mandatory. So if you're ever assigned an APA writing assignment by an instructor, just know you're going to have this title page. It's absolutely necessary. You'll be deducted points, or you maybe even, receive a 0 if you don't have the title page. So for the title page, okay, you're going to know some differences between MLA and APA. Now, in MLA, your header at the top right of your page was your last name and the page number. You don't do that in APA. In APA, you are going to have running head. Now, you'll notice this is only on the first page. If you look at the second and the third page of the abstract, it's not on the second page and it's not on the third. Okay, on the first page, you actually have to tell your reader this is the running head or the header that's going to run on each page of your assignment. And running head, and then you have your header. Now, your header in APA is either your title of your assignment, if it's really short. If you have a really long assignment, a title, you just use maybe like 2 or 3 words to overview that assignment title. We have a really short assignment title for this one. It's just APA Abstract. So you can just use APA Abstract, but you're going to notice it's all in caps for the header, and that header runs throughout the second page and the third page, all caps, okay? Now, as far as the title page, you're going to title this APA Abstract, put your first and last name, our course code like this, my name, and you do want to have instructor for other, individuals when you get to university, maybe professor, and then the date when ours is due. Okay, now the second page is your abstract. Now back to that handout, okay? Remember this handout right here that overviews the assignment, okay? We're going to go past the second page, okay? And I have another example of a title page on page 3. But on page 4, this is overviewing the abstract. An abstract is just a type of summary. In this case, it's a summary that's overviewing the content of the article that you found. It would be like if someone asked you, what was that article about? What was its content? You're going to be overviewing the content of that particular article. Now, I kind of give you bullet points of each sentence, how you can set it up. Now, your first sentence, you need to overview, number 1, the article title in quotation marks. Number 2, okay, the author's name. Now, I make a note of this. In APA, you do not use first and middle names. You only use first and middle initials. So I gave the example here. You may have an author who's named Todd Lane Stringer, but you only use T.L. Stringer, okay? And also, you may want to put where you found this. Remember, in EBSCO Magnolia Project, these are articles that were originally found somewhere else, like a magazine, newspaper, or journal, so you can say where it's from. Now, I want you to look at the example from the student, so you can kind of use this as a reference. This particular student, in her first sentence, says K. Sullivan. Okay, notice the K is the first initial of the name. Article, okay. Nail the Job Interview, 101 Dynamite Answers to Interview Questions. That's the article title from the library database. That's originally from the source that it was found, that library journal where it was published, okay? And then the first sentence, think of it as like a thesis. It overviews the content of the article overall. Now, the preceding sentences, as I mentioned in the directions, is if there's any information about the author, like the author's background, like their educational or professional information, put that. Now, sadly, the student example, she did not have any author information on K. Sullivan, but if you have any information on your author, put that information in there, their education or background, because it lets us know this is a credible source written by someone who is very much an expert in that field. Now, those later sentences, you're just, again, the bulk of the summary. You're writing the content of the article, which more than likely it's going to be you overviewing the job interview tips that that particular author offers to you. So be very specific. You're going to notice in the student example, she actually overviews kind of that Sullivan explains that job candidates should anticipate questions, thoughtful, believable answers, focus on their accomplishments, ask questions of the employer, overall handle the interview situation. And she talks about what job candidates should be doing, but sadly later in the paragraph, what they're not doing. And she really stresses that this article focuses in on job candidates being kind of prepared for the types of questions and also have answers ready for those questions as well. And finally, you're going to have, again, kind of that concluding sentence, which may be the fifth or sixth sentence. And that's going to just kind of finish up the overall idea. She says, overall, Sullivan stresses that most job candidates are not considered for the job due to this communication problem and not answering important interview questions. So notice it's a very short paragraph. An abstract is just a summary of the article's content. So you want to overview this information. So you're going to notice there's not first person I. You don't want to mention yourself. This is just a very objective overview of you stating the content of the article. So no first person I. Also don't have second person you. Say like readers. Okay, in this case it says job candidates in her particular article. As far as structure, notice it's one paragraph. There's no indentation because in abstracts you don't have an indentation. As far as structurally, it's 12 font, Times New Roman, double spaced. Okay, and you'll notice the very last page of your abstract, and I note this in the handout, is your reference page. Okay, now your reference page, okay, this is going to be much easier if you actually went on the databases like I recommended. Okay, if you went on the databases like I recommended, all you have to do is copy and paste your publication information that you found on EBSCO Magnolia into your reference page. Just make sure you change the font to Times New Roman and there's a hanging indentation there. Now, if for some reason you didn't use the databases, you may need some of these other resources on Canvas. You'll notice I do have an APA quick guide, that's letter G, also H, APA format packet. You may need those packets if you go on just to Google and you search job interview tips, because likely the website's not going to give you the publication information. So these handouts are going to show you how to structure your citation for your reference page. Now, for your reference, okay, I do have other things that I think you might find helpful. I mentioned that you have videos C all the way to F. This overviews APA documentation in detail, and I love it. I did not make these videos, but they're really helpful. Also, letter I, this is an APA research essay that tells you how to write an APA essay. It's really helpful. As I mentioned in the the weekly checklist, you really may want to save some of these documents or videos. I can promise you at some point in your academic career, you're probably going to have to write an APA formatted either abstract like we're doing or a whole research essay, and these will be helpful to you. Again, I hope this assignment is going to be helpful not only in you understanding the basics of APA, but also for you to understand that you need to think about your job interview before going into the job interview. And hopefully the article that you find, and also later with your online discussions, that you learn from each other and think about how you can be a better interviewee. All right, that is the overview for this particular assignment. As always, if you have questions on it, you may contact me. Thank you.